Good morning, everybody. Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District Representative Tom Tiffany is back for our monthly show today, Thursday, July 10th, 2025. For DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching DrydenWire Live, presented by Americans for Prosperity Wisconsin. AFP Wisconsin works to reignite the American dream and break down government barriers that hold us back from our full potential. Visit AFPWisconsin.com to learn more and join AFP to fight for more freedom for all Wisconsinites. With that, we welcome Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District Representative who joins us on the second Thursday of every month, Congressman Tom Tiffany. Tom, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ben. I was just looking out the window here, and we got a little family of foxes that's been around for a couple months. It's fun watching them run around and play.
Foxes? I'm not kidding. I can't remember the last time I even saw a fox. You just have them like out back?
Yeah, they got a den right on our property, and there's like 3, 4 of them. It's fun to watch them. Second year in a row.
Do they get into stuff? You know, like rabbits get into gardens or anything? I mean, are they a nuisance or like, yeah, they're perfectly fine?
No. The rabbits think they're a nuisance because they're hunting.
Yeah.
But anyhow, no, it's just fun to see them out there.
Awesome. Oh, real quick, because I want to talk about the one big beautiful bill, your takeaways, the goods, the bads, etc., and also the Wisconsin state budget. But I just saw this morning that Sean Duffy's in the news again. He just got appointed to something like interim NASA head or something like that. Did you see that?
Yeah, interim administrator for NASA.
Yeah.
The president is really pleased with the work that Sean's doing as the secretary of the Department of Transportation. Said, you know what? I think we're going to add a little bit to his portfolio. You know, you do a good job and you get more work.
See, that's why you never want to do that good of a job anywhere. Because they keep adding on. All right, we have a lot to get to. Let's start with Wisconsin budget. You have an interesting perspective on this, I'm sure, not just as a citizen of Wisconsin or as a Republican, but also you were in the Senate and the Assembly as well. But you were also on Joint Finance when you were in the Madison legislature. When you saw this all come out, what were your initial takeaways? Were you happy to see this? What were your first thoughts when you saw this bill? When you saw the budget finalized?
Yeah, so while I was in the state Senate, I served 3 terms on the Joint Finance Committee, where every 2 years we wrote the budget. And, just for our listeners, it's the Joint Finance Committee, so it's both Assembly and Senate members are on there, equal numbers. And I think there's 8 from each house, and then they create the budget. By the way, the Joint Finance Committee is probably the most powerful budget writing committee of any legislature in the United States. I mean, it just really has significant sway. But I would say, you go to the top lines immediately. Under Governor Evers' budget here, you're going to see about a 12 or $15 billion increase in spending. I mean, it's a significant increase, between 5 and 10%. Because I think the last budget, I'm not as familiar with the numbers as I used to be, but it was just a shade under $100 billion. Well, it blew through $100 billion with this budget. And so it's like $112 billion. So a lot more spending that is going on here with this budget.
Do you think, again, because you were on Joint Finance for so long, do you think that it's more because it's a conservative or a Republican Joint Finance Committee, right? Right now?
Yes, the Republicans are in the majority in both
Right.
houses.
So do you think
Yeah.
you think they gave away too much or conceded too much? Or was it this is how it works and there's always a balance?
I wasn't there and I'm not going to second guess, but I mean, ultimately, you look at the budget that Governor Evers puts forth each budget cycle, which is his fourth one, I think, and you see this enormous amount of spending. I mean, remember that if Tony Evers had his way, we would be referring to mothers as inseminated persons because that's what they referred to them in his version of the budget. You would have seen us be in deficit because he proposed a budget that would have created a structural deficit. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in there that he would have done that the legislature made sure did not get in there. Now, at the end of the day, you got to craft a budget between Republicans and Democrats, and Democrats get some, Republicans get some, but ultimately it's Governor Evers' budget, and there's a whole lot more spending there. I think Republicans held it back as much as they could. And at the end of the day, it'll be Governor Evers' budget, which is just, it's really concerning to see the increase in spending that's going on with this budget, because it sets us up for deficits in the future.
Why do you think? Why do you think that isn't getting talked about as much?
Oh, I think well, for one, we passed the big beautiful bill at the same time, and national news is trumping state news regularly. And, it's just the nature of news these days. I just think that the national news, especially in regards to one big beautiful bill, had really dominated the spotlight. And then, of course, you had the floods in Texas and stuff like that. I think Wisconsin just largely got pushed off from the stage.
Well, let's get into the one big beautiful bill, or your takeaways, what you like, what you didn't. We'll do all that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
All right, and good morning, Dave Wilson and Renee and everyone else that is joining us. So the one big beautiful bill, there's a lot in this. I mean, this could be like a 3-hour conversation, and we still wouldn't probably get into all of these things. We're going to try to just get to some of the highlights, some of the things you like, but I also kind of want to start with something maybe you didn't like, or some things, because it couldn't be everything in there that you're like, this is all a winner. There's got to be some in there that maybe, like, I'll swallow it, but what are some of those?
Yeah. So I voted for it. So on balance, I believe there was far more good than there was ill in the bill. And but there was really some big wins in this bill. There were a couple things that I had concerns about, and just a little inside baseball. Last week, when we were in session, the Senate had passed their version of the bill after we had sent ours to them. The Senate changed ours, sent it back to us. And there were a group of us, primarily Freedom Caucus members, that were like, we can't vote for this House bill. It's not acceptable. And so there were about 10, 12 of us. We got called to the White House to have a discussion with the president because, as you well know, he wanted to get this bill done by July 4th. We had a very good discussion in the White House with the president, the vice president, and his main advisors in regards to the budget. And it's centered, for me, it's centered around the green energy subsidies. So we have these enormous subsidies that are about $50,000 an acre to put up wind turbines and solar panels. And it's distorting the energy marketplace, driving up the cost of electricity, making us more dependent on China, chewing up American farmland, including Wisconsin farmland, all that stuff. That was the big deal for me, because we put a really good proposal in the House version, and then the Senate watered it down. And so it ended up staying as it was amended in the Senate. But we received assurances from the White House, and there was an executive order that came out Monday that I think is the follow-up to this, saying that we are going to make sure that these green energy subsidies, that they are sunset. And I think the executive order has, you got to have them built by the end of 2027. So if you're building something wind or solar and you're getting these incredible subsidies, you got to be done by 2027. Otherwise, you no longer will get the subsidy. So I think the White House heard what we were saying. They did not want the bill to go back to the Senate, so we agreed to vote for it with assurances that the administration is going to incentivize energy production that is going to be low cost for America, not high cost like wind and solar. Second thing that was a big deal for me was in regards to, I would have liked to see a little more deficit reduction, but we got over $1 trillion. I think it's about $1.5 trillion of deficit reduction. So good start. Hopefully we can continue on that path.
I wrote something down earlier. I believe the original House version had prohibited transgender surgery. If like for Medicaid or Medicare, was that still, that was like the original one? Where did that one fall? Where did that land?
Yeah, really good question. I think that got pulled out, and that was something I know a number of my colleagues were really concerned about, the ban on transgender using taxpayer funds for transgender surgeries. I don't believe that should be the case. I think that ban got pulled out in the Senate version, so unfortunately we were not able to get that done.
Interesting. What else? Give me another something else that you saw in there that there could have been opportunity for growth, as it were.
Oh, I think, I mean, I would be more focused on the good things that got done in regards to growth. I mean, there was one for people that are big Second Amendment aficionados.
Mhm.
The We were able to get half of what we wanted in regards to the National Firearms Act. We got rid of the $200 tax that goes on scopes, and then also
Wait,
on
was it scopes or was it suppressors?
excuse me, thank you for correcting me there. Yes, suppressors, and then also for short rifles and short shotguns. I believe that we got rid of the $200 tax, but we did not get rid of the registration, because that's what people are asking us to do. Get rid of both of those. There should not be a registry and whatever. We got rid of the tax. I think you're going to see some groups take action now in the courts to try to get rid of the registry.
Uh, why was there a $200 tax? So you just bought, but only on those specific, like a suppressor. You said a short barrel, I don't know, rifle or shotgun. Um, so I don't know anything about guns unless it's on like
Yeah, I
Call of
have to
Duty or
go
video
back.
game. But why was there even a tax on this to begin with?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question, and that's what we were saying is this is unconstitutional. So we were able to get that $200 tax out of there. Now we would like to get the registry out. That would be one of the things where some people would say that we fell a little bit short. We should have gotten rid of the registry also.
All right. And by the way, thank you for some of the comments already. And Annette, I see you on. Good morning, Renee. I would love to see you run for governor. Tom, you talked to the people. Very nice of you to say, Renee. What else was good? What were some wins? More wins from the one big beautiful bill.
Oh, there was a whole bunch of good stuff in there, and it's the reason that I ended up voting for the bill. And it starts with what people knew about that were really the high-profile issues, and that's to secure the border. There's going to be miles and miles of border wall that is going to be completed, and there are also going to be barriers in rivers like the Rio Grande and places like that. The border is going to get secured. Also, significantly more money for both the Border Patrol, so we have enough Border Patrol agents to be able to do their jobs, and then also for ICE to be able to remove people. And what the administration has started with is those who have criminal records, set aside being here illegally, but have criminal records in their home country or here in the United States, they made a priority to get those people out of the country. You think about the LA riots. I mean, there were dozens of people they were after who had violent criminal records, and they were trying to remove them from the country. So we have money towards that. We have permitting reform in regards to energy. The president.
Tom, I want to go back. I want to ask you something. You brought up immigration. Amnesty seems to be a very popular topic right now. And potentially people are trying to, I don't know which people, legislators, I suppose, to get President Trump to look into amnesty now. Where do you stand on that topic of amnesty as it relates to immigration?
Yeah, there should not be amnesty. You should come into this country legally. I mean, we've incentivized illegal immigration in this country. And, take employers that have had people that work for them that are here illegally. There's a way to go about doing this via the H-2 process with visas. So we need to have a system that works that's legal. Secure the border, make sure able-bodied people who can work. Americans should be working if they're able-bodied. Then third, if we need more people in this country, then we should bring them in. And remember the ultimate thing here, Ben, that is, I think, more important than anything else that gets set aside sometimes. Illegal immigration suppresses the wages of American workers. And that is one of the main reasons that we should be securing the border. And you're seeing it now with people's wages going up. Same thing happened in Trump 1. Wages went up for working class people. That is one of the main reasons that we should be securing the border.
Okay. What else was a win?
Yeah, energy permitting. The president knows very well, as the rest of us do, that we have to have low-cost energy if we're going to prosper here in America. So We had some of that, some good stuff in regards to like a child tax credit. I believe that was $2,000 previously, and that's going to go up to $2,500. There is and by the way, if the bill would not have passed, or if you voted against the bill, that means you supported a $1,000 child tax credit. It goes up to $2,500 now from $2,000.
Wow.
There's also $1,000 for newborns.
Oh, I'm
There's a
so glad
newborn,
you brought that up because I have a lot of questions about that.
yeah,
Complete.
newborn baby bonus for $1,000. That is in there. For small businesses, there is full bonus depreciation where you can depreciate your entire investment in the same year. That is going to that has always proven to supercharge the economy because people will invest their money then. So those are a few things that are in there besides the bigger stuff that we were talking about.
Okay, I want to get back to the $1,000 one, but it's something from Shasta. I'm hearing if you aren't American, we don't want you here. I think this goes back to the immigration topic we were just discussing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's not true. We welcome people all the time. America is the most generous country in the world. Even while all this illegal immigration's been going on, there's 1 million people we're letting in generally each year. About 1 million people come in legally into our country. I mean, we are one of the most welcoming, generous countries that you will find in the world. And we will continue to do that. You just got to do it legally.
Mm. Let's go back to that $1,000. I think it's like an investment credit, or so I can't remember. What is that exactly? So if you have a baby, like just give a scenario. You have a baby and you just get what, $1,000 into your account, but it's a baby, so it'd have to go into what, their parents' account? Does it go somewhere else? Like, where does that money go?
Yeah, so it's I don't know all the details because some of them are being worked out, but my understanding is it's for a newborn, and I don't know if it starts immediately with the bill or if it's retroactive to the start of 2025. Because my understanding on no tax on tips, which was included in this, that's retroactive to January of this year.
Oh, so next year's tax time. That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah, so that there's no tax on tips. I don't know what the start date is in regards to the $1,000 credit for having a baby, but I would assume that that's going to go to the parents.
Yeah, well, and that's interesting because that was another thing. Is it the kids? Because I was watching a video the other day, and I only caught parts of it, and it was explaining that this could accrue over time, and they should absolutely save it. And someone had asked, the host had asked this person, it was a congressperson down in Florida they were talking to, and asked, well, do the parents have access to it, or is this kind of like a lockbox thing? Right, no, this is the kids until they're 18, where it's more of an investment thing, not like a tax thing, where you just get $1,000 or just get $1,000. Here's a check. It's something about that. I'm like, man, that is so fascinating. I want to know more about this, but I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I need to look into it because perhaps you're right that it does serve as an investment account that is in the child's name, and it stays there. I'm going to have to do more digging on that issue.
Medicaid, that's a huge talking point for everyone and a concern, and it absolutely should be. Did one big beautiful bill help or hurt?
In regards to Medicaid?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that helped because it's reforming the system. The most important thing that we can do with Medicaid is to make sure it's there tomorrow for those who are truly in need. Pregnant moms, those who are disabled, the working poor. That's who Medicaid was set up for, but we have all these people that are getting on it now and being free riders. For example, the able-bodied. The estimates I see, there's 5 to 10 million people that are able-bodied here in America, and they just choose to take benefits, including Medicaid, from the federal government, from you, the taxpayer. I think they should be working and not being on Medicaid. And the second thing is illegal immigrants. For example, California. Nearly over $9 billion that goes into Medicaid for illegals. They have a line item in California in their budget, $9 billion for illegal immigrants to get health care. I don't think that's the duty of the American people to have to pay for their health care. So those reforms are in place to root out this fraud, waste, and abuse. And that's going to help protect the system because that's what we want to do. We want to save and protect the system for those that the program was set up for.
I'm not going to lie. I did not even know that if you're an illegal immigrant, which technically that means you're a felon, that you. I did not know that if you're an illegal immigrant, that you get access to Medicaid. I didn't know that. How?
Well, you can, if your state does a good job of cleaning people out who are here illegally, then they will not receive Medicaid. But you have states that have no interest in doing that. They want to put as many people on Medicaid as possible, California being the poster child for that.
What happened to the Short Act? Where did that land in this?
The Short Act?
Yeah. I think I thought I had a note somewhere. The Senate
I
had.
believe I think you're referencing what we were talking about earlier in regards to.
Is that the
Um,
NFA, the $200?
yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Because I was looking through your recent press releases as well and trying to line up all the things you've introduced, if any of those things actually happen in the one big beautiful bill. The
So the
salted.
Short Act registry, just to repeat, Short Act registry is still in place. And I
Okay.
do think that there's groups that are going to sue to stop that registry, and I actually think they have a good chance of being able to win. But the tax that was levied by the NFA, the $200, is
Yeah.
now gone.
Okay. The salt deduction cap went up to
Yeah,
$40,000.
that was really bad that stayed in there. I mean, that's one I should have listed earlier. So, that's the state and local tax that people pay when it exceeds a certain level. They can have that be tax deductible. And so, in other words, like New York, New Jersey, California, Illinois, very high tax states, what they do is someone that's paying very high state and local taxes, they get to claim a deduction on their federal taxes. And we, the taxpayers of the rest of America, end up paying their tax bill because it's deductible. So the New Yorkers got together and they pushed extra hard. And it wasn't just New Yorkers, there's a few from New Jersey and California too. And they pushed really hard and they said, we want this raised from 10,000 to 40,000. They ultimately prevailed in order to be able to get their votes. But it's just wrong. And it incentivizes states to have high taxes like New York and New Jersey. That went away for 8 years under the previous Tax Cut and Jobs Act. The full deductibility for state and local taxes, I think, is part of the reason so many people were moving out of New York to Florida. They finally were feeling the full brunt of the high taxes they have in their state. Now they're going to be able to make it deductible once again. If there's if that would be on my top 3 to change if I were able to wave a wand.
Sure. Going back to Medicaid, I see a lot of these comments, social media, that this one big beautiful bill guts Medicaid. I keep going back to that. Why do you believe that they think that is true? Is it a messaging problem? What is it?
Yeah, if you listen to the argument, I think we're actually catching up at this point because, the lies have been out there. And if you listen closely, they'll say 16 million people are going to get kicked off from Medicaid.
Yeah.
Well, those people are those that are able-bodied that should be working. And if they work, they probably get health insurance, many of them, from their employer. It's illegal aliens. Like I mentioned, California, $9 billion for illegal aliens. And they pay almost the full tab because California is an expansion state, which I won't get into the details on that. But just think about it. You have all these people that are here illegally or choose not to work that are on Medicaid. They never tell you who those people are that are going to be removed from the rolls. They just use the general number of $16 million. The American people agree with us. And there was a non-binding referendum in Wisconsin in the April elections 2 years ago. Should able-bodied people be required to work? 80% of Wisconsinites said yes. They understand, they get it. So does the rest of the country. If you're able-bodied, you should work. So it was funny. I was at a parade in Somerset about a month ago, and there's a woman shouted at me. She said, "Why are you kicking all these people off from Medicaid?" And I went over and I just said, "We are not." She says, "Yes, you are." And I said, "Well, we're kicking illegal aliens and those who are able-bodied off from that." And she said, "I don't believe you." And I said, "You bring me an example." And I would issue this challenge to your listeners. You bring me an example of somebody that's kicked off Medicaid that legitimately belongs on Medicaid, a woman who's pregnant, low-income children, someone with a disability, you bring that person, and if it's a constituent of mine, to the attention of my office, and they should legitimately be on Medicaid, I will help them get back on Medicaid if they've been kicked off.
Now that the one big beautiful bill is, well, it's still, there's some going through court stuff on some of those things, but from your perspective, now that that part is over, how much time is left in this session, and what is left for you? What do you want to get done here? Is there anything left to get done in the remaining few weeks that you're still in session?
Oh yeah, we got lots of good stuff getting done. I'm really pushing on leadership to have that vote on the wolf delisting bill. Now that this is done, I'm really hoping that we are able to get that done. In fact, it's a good reminder. I need to call leadership and urge them to get that passed.
I'll call them. Don't worry. I'll call
get over the Senate. Get it over to the Senate. So we're doing that. We've got a couple other bills that that we're working on to get done. But in terms of the big picture, there's these rescissions bills where we can pull back spending that has been authorized previously. We just did one in the House a few weeks ago. I'm hoping the administration sends us some more rescissions bill. Remember, the first one was in regards to USAID, all the money that was going out illegitimately to these people who were just stuffing it in their pockets. It wasn't really helping people in foreign countries. I'm hoping we see more bills like that, because we know there's all kinds of waste that goes on in the federal government in all different ways, shapes, and forms. So I'm hoping we'll see some more rescissions bill, and we start working on our next budget. In fact, the Appropriations Committee has been working on this as we speak. We got to do another budget by October 1st, so that's going to be front and center here also.
When is the last official day on the calendar right now?
You mean for the session?
For the session. It's July, isn't it? Sometime in July, or is it August 1st? Or?
Well, before we take the August break, it's it's the end of August. It's the end of August, and then we will take an in-district work period through the month of August. And,
end of July, so you have the August off. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, outstanding. What do you have coming up this weekend?
Well, as we close up here, I'm going to head out and pick some strawberries. There's still a few strawberries being picked in the far north here, and I haven't gotten any yet this year. I want some fresh strawberries, so Chris can make some strawberry pie. She makes terrific strawberry pie.
And you do like pie. I know you do.
I love pie. Yeah. But I'm headed for Superior tonight. A group, Better in Your Backyard, is doing an event tonight. It's a group that they're trying to rebuild manufacturing in America, and especially here in the Midwest. It's a great thing. And what they're saying is that we can do both. We can have manufacturing and a clean environment. And we're better off to do it in our backyard, because we will not pollute like they do in other countries. You go to mining and stuff like that in areas in Africa and places like that. They use child labor. They pollute the heck out of the environment. It would be better to do it here in America. Anyhow, I'm going to go up and speak to those folks. They're a great bunch. They are helping build America.
Better in Your Backyard. I'm going to look into them. Never heard of them before. Awesome. Tom, anything else that you want to make sure we talk about that we didn't get a chance to?
Hey, I hope everybody has a great summer. Hey, isn't it Spooner Rodeo this weekend?
Yes, it is. Are you going to be there?
Get out to the rodeo. Sure.
People should do that.
Yeah. No, Spooner has a long tradition, and it's a great rodeo.
It is.
Some of the people that are competitors that win, they're going to end up in the Nationals. I had a chance to go to Las Vegas for the National Federation of Rodeo, whatever it is, NFR it goes by.
Sure.
But I've seen the national championships, and it is awesome. And some of those people, some of those contestants are probably there in Spooner this weekend.
Can I share something a little vulnerable, be vulnerable here for a minute, and maybe something a little embarrassing? I've been to the rodeo, and I need to stay far, far away from the horses, and that's why I don't even like parades or anything, because horses kind of scare me. They just do. And I realized when I was a young age that I don't like anything bigger than I am unless it's got an engine in it, because it just all scares me. So I don't know why I always think like the horse is just going to jump out and run into the stands. It's stupid, but I kind of freak out around horses. No.
The only thing that scares me about horses in a parade is the horse apples.
The horse. We'll talk to you next month. Thanks, Tom. Special thank you to Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District Representative Tom Tiffany for taking the time to come on for a chat today. And thank you for all of your comments. And, thank you, Renee. Horses scare me, too. I'm not the only one. I'll see all of you right back here next Thursday when I'll be chatting with Burnett County Judge Melissa Mogan. So until then, for DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, saying thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.